Guys, welcome back to another episode of Before the First Cast. I'm actually super excited about tonight's episode. We have a f- former college stick and a great partner with the basscast.com coming on. We're going to talk all about what's going on in college fishing. You know, this is near and dear to my heart. I fished in college for all 4 years. I just want to get my guest's take on what his thoughts are on the college fishing, where it's going, and how it's different than what we came up doing. So, guys, stay tuned. And my guest is Mr. Carson Maddux. He fished for Auburn University, and I can't wait for you guys to see what he has to say. Stick around. We'll be right back with Carson. Guys, welcome back. We have Mr. Carson Maddux with us. Carson, welcome in to Before the First Cast. Thanks for being here on such short notice.
Yes, sir.
Um, so Carson, we want to get to know you a little bit. So tell us a little bit about where you came from, your fishing history, and where you're at currently in the fishing world.
Yeah, well, I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. Fished up around there. Started kind of getting in the game as soon as the high school stuff. It's been around before I was in high school, but it really kind of blew up while I was there. And then that's kind of when people started recruiting to go to colleges and stuff. Colleges started getting um, scholarships and stuff like that for the fishing team. I decided to go to Auburn, which was not a big scholarship school, but it was a school that had a lot of history and a lot of good fishermen on the team. Um, it's only about an hour and a half from where I grew up, so it was a pretty easy transition into that. Fished for Auburn for a couple years, graduated this past May, so now I'm done with the college stuff. But kind of got to watch it grow because it was already big when I got into it, and now it's really really big and it's grown into different sectors. So it's been pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, so when I came up, I fished in college as well for Liberty University. And it was when I was in college, it was just a brand new thing. So they were just off the jump. Like we
Uh
had
huh.
probably 15, 20, I would say maximum 50 boats at a tournament. So it was like when it was fresh off the
Yeah.
jump. So um I wanted to bring you on to talk a little bit about the college fishing scene. What's changed since you've been there or been in it? What's not changed? What are you excited to see about this upcoming season? That kind of thing. And we can just kind of discuss that.
Yeah, I know. Like when I first got to Auburn, I think our team had about 35 people on the team. And then by the time I left, I think there was close to 80 people on the team. So that just shows how much it grew in the years I was there. But as far as overall college fishing, it was always super popular throughout the time I was there. But it was like I remember the first 2 years I was there. The first year I was there was the year my freshman year was the year that COVID hit, and so
Hmm.
we had you could fish all like for Bassmaster, for example. You could just kind of just sign up just whenever it opened up, you just signed up and then you got onto the team and with the FLW and MLF. And now it's like I remember the last 2 years of fishing in college, if you were not ready for when that timestamp opened up to get your name on the list, and you would be on the wait list and you wouldn't even be able to go in the tournaments. And it was so bad with that, they actually split it up into two different divisions, I believe. And
Hmm.
now I think they're still doing those two divisions, but they're both like there's two divisions with 250 boats in it versus when I did it was like one with 250 boats, but there's a wait list, so that's good. So I'm glad that's changed because now there's more people being able to fish. But yeah, it's crazy how many people do it and how many different schools have it too. Is kind of the big thing.
Yeah, and what I've noticed is different because I have some friends that still fish for Liberty. And they said once they split into two divisions, it just made it easier for more people to fish, but you still have that huge field you fish against.
Yeah,
So you still have the great competition. I think it's the Lunker division is one, and then there's another one I can't remember
legend.
exactly. Yeah, the Legends division. Yeah. Um, but yeah, that's definitely changed since I've been in the game too, because I've actually had to try out to get on our team, which was nuts. Because we had so many people. Because Liberty may not seem big to people, but
It's
there's a lot of
big.
people that go there. And we had to basically, if you were a co-angler, because I fished co-angler through college, we had co-angler tryouts. Like, we had it on 3 different bodies of water, 3 different times of the year, and basically you had to beat all of the co-anglers. So, I actually was fortunate to win a co-angler event on a local lake here in Virginia, and I solidified my spot. I had 14 something out of the back of the boat,
That's
so
pretty good.
it was a little lucky day, I'm not gonna lie. I've never thrown a fire tiger crankbait and caught 14 out of the back of the boat, but it was just my day, I guess. Um, but yeah, we had tryouts and it was a grueling tryout, but it was fun. But
It is.
now, like you said, some teams like have 80 people on the team trying to get spots on many.
Yeah,
Yeah, like some of the travel teams I see just rolling out, like Auburn has a
yeah,
massive following.
they've got a big team. We kinda did it where we had, like, fall qualifiers. We used our fall season to kinda determine your ranking,
Mhm.
in the team, and then, uh, that kinda like, if there was a tournament that we are only allowed to send, like, 5 boats or so, we would take that. But yeah, the team that I was a part of, there's a lot of guys that you probably haven't even heard of yet that are gonna be making it to the Elite Series and making it, to the Invitationals and the BPT, and then some of the guys that were on the team. At one point, we had, Logan Parks and Tucker Smith,
Mhm.
Hayden Marvitt, Chase Clark, who just won the Open um, on Clarks Hill, Lucas
Mhm.
Lindsay, who this is his first year fishing the Opens. He got third at Clarks Hill. And then Connor Jacob was a guy who's qualified through the Classic through the Nation this year. And then we've got just like, and that's just a small group. That's just the guys that are fishing right now, fishing the opens and stuff. There's other guys that are fishing it that are gonna fish in the next coming years that have gone crazy. Hayden Marvitt, who's won everything on the MLF side, is on the team as well during that time. So
Well
there was a really good group of anglers that were on the team.
well, not to mention, Jordan Lee came out of that system as well.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't beat that. I mean,
yeah.
he
There's some
he's
good guys over the years, but I was just saying those are guys that were all in school together on
right.
the same team, which is crazy to think about. Um,
And that's how you build that brand in the bass fishing world. That's how you build it, is be really competitive as a team and just go out there and just win, just prove yourself. That's kind of what I've seen with, like, Adrian College,
mhm.
Montevello's doing it too. I mean, there's a lot of top schools, Auburn, that are just winning everything. You look at people who have been since I've been in it, we didn't really have a college bracket. That has been something cool to watch,
Yeah,
throughout the years, and you got the best of the best fishing in it. Ooh, woo. But,
but
no, you're fine. I just think of, like, Louis Minetti from University of Charlotte.
yeah,
Like, he won out of, like, you don't need the nicest stuff to win and be
no, you don't.
competitive. He showed that, which I was like, "Man, everybody's talking about live scope these days," but he went out there and pretty much had 2D sonar the whole time. Still
Yeah,
pretty one. But,
yeah,
yeah, some of the names I think about are gonna be elite soon. Tucker Smith's one of them.
yeah,
I'm not sleeping on him.
yeah, he's good.
Um, the other guy that just won the Open on Clarks Hill, he's gonna be very good. Um, but yeah, I mean, you come up from a good college ranking. So one of the things that I like that Bass is always thinking about changing things and doing stuff different. I just think about a few changes like the bracket, just allowing you to, you know, use your skills and beat the best of the best out of the college rank, and you get a berth to the classic, which, I don't know any 18, 19, 20-year-old kid that even dreams of fishing the classic, but
Yeah.
that's what dreams are made of. Any negative changes you think you've seen this year in college fishing?
Um, I know it's getting there's with all the scholarships and stuff. I know there's people that are the biggest thing. Like you don't really see it when you're outside of it, so I wouldn't really call it that big of a negative. But I know like when I was still in school was like the whole thing to win school of the year because everyone wants to win school of the year. It kind of made it to competitive to the point where it was like you're fishing a lot of tournaments that didn't really that only had value for that school of the year and didn't really have any sort of value for yourself as an angler to grow. Like,
Mhm.
I'm not trying to dog an organization or anything, but there's one trail that you fished every single year. I mean, since you were there, since Jordan Lee days, like it was
Mhm.
Dardanelle in the second week in October, and then it was like Kentucky Lake then, and the championships on Pigwick in the fall. And those were the
Yep.
most important tournaments for the points wise. And to me, like the biggest thing with college fishing is getting able to or being able to get that experience if you are trying to go travel somewhere, or even if you're not trying to go pro after you graduate, you want to be able to go visit new lakes while you're in school because once you get a job, you're not able to go to 10
Mhm.
different lakes throughout a year. I mean, that's just so like I thought I think that they should try to keep going diverse with the schedules, especially at the college level, um, and allow these people to go and visit different lakes rather than go to the same thing repetitive over and over again.
See, I would have to agree with you on that because we fished the Northern Division for
Mhm.
FLW, and it was the exact same
Same
fisheries
thing. Yeah.
every year. And you knew the teams that were going to do really well in those events and teams that were
Uh-huh.
just going to blow. And I absolutely hated that. Um, Another thing that could be positive and negative that I've seen in college sports and in college, fishing is the exposure. Um, I'm thinking of, Auburn has the Bassmaster does it. It's like where they follow them around.
Yeah.
King is something Bass Kings or something like that. House of
Uh,
Bass.
yeah, something like that. I forget the name.
Now, I think that's really good exposure because you're giving,
Mhm.
exposures to college kids following around day in the life. And I can't think of the kid's name that's on it. Oh my. He's got the
Jake Paul?
curly hair. Yep.
Oh, Cardi Shelton?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's hilarious. But I
yeah.
think that's good exposure, to the sport. It gets people that normally wouldn't watch fishing, oh, I see
Mhm.
this is on YouTube. Like, it's the coolest thing in the world when I started watching. I think I've finished all the
Yeah,
episodes.
that was a new thing that happened this year. I think that was a good thing. I think they're gonna try to go to follow different teams throughout or each season, try to follow different teams. That was a cool thing they did this year for sure.
Yeah, it just gives you an in the day in the life of like a college fisherman. Like
Yeah,
they
that's
went on
cool.
the school tours. I think you guys have like a bass house or something. That was
Yeah,
pretty cool.
there's a couple different houses that everyone kinda lives at year in and year out, which is cool.
And I was like, that's pretty cool. And they
Mhm.
get to follow preparation and stuff.
Yeah, you make me
You
miss it.
know, I know I'm watching. I'm like, man, if only I could have done better in this, and I need to go get like a fifth master's or something.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's good exposure. You know, I don't really think there's any bad exposure for a college team unless you make it a bad exposure.
Yeah.
I mean,
But it teaches you too to be underneath the spotlight sometimes, and then knowing how to work with that way. And that's the thing that I've pushed to other tournament organizations, college organizations, is to try to like. There's some tournaments that we fish, and we're not really doing it for the money at the college level. The money's not good at all, which is something that's okay. Um,
mhm,
I'd rather it be more money, but that's not my biggest concern because I think it is about the exposure and the experience. But then there's some organizations that don't even have photographers at the event, so you don't have really good pictures to post unless you have someone there to take pictures. So that it's just kind of I feel like if you're going to be really investing in the future in the sport, you need to help them build their brands too with photographers and stuff. So that's something
yeah,
I would encourage them to do is
and
to invest.
that's where I think social media is a huge aspect in today's college world, even media world in general. Um, just just being able to promote yourself, your brand in a positive way. I think that's very important, especially for like anybody doing any social medias. People want to see the positive stuff. They don't really want to see I mean, they
Yeah,
want to see your lows, but like don't make it so low that you're like miserable about it or whatnot.
yeah.
Um, but and that's what it is. Social media is huge. And getting exposure and getting your name out there, networking. And I think that's the big thing in college fishing now is just networking with companies and trying to sell their brand the best way you can.
Hmm.
Um, so going forward, I want to talk about a new thing that just came hot off the press today, I believe, from Bassmaster. is the college kayak series. Now, this is something I would absolutely love to have when I was in college because not all college kids have money for, the $80,000 bass boats or whatever amount of money you have in college, but you can spend a good $1,000 on a good kayak and some electronics with that and be
For
pretty
sure.
competitive. I I wish this was a thing. I would eat this up.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how it works because they're gonna have to do all kinds of like swap boarding and stuff like that. And
Yeah, I think it'll work well. They've already kinda got it established in the other ranks. That was kinda something that was for talks for a while when I was in school, but it never really took off. We were sponsored by Native Watercraft and Bonafide Kayaks. Big Adventures LLC is the mother company of that, but they're actually the ones putting. I think they're the presenting sponsors of that kayak series. Native is, and so
mhm.
they've worked with us forever. They sponsored us all throughout my tenure at Auburn, and so we got to get in those kayaks, and they're pretty awesome. And even if you're a guy coming from a boat, we did some stuff like some media things that we did with them out here on Lake Martin, where we went and like we're all used to fishing in the boat, but then we got in their kayaks and tried to do it and try to see the learning curve. And I mean, you'd be surprised that little piece of plastic is so sturdy, and you're actually able to do. I mean, you can't move around as fast as a boat, obviously, but you can get a lot of stuff done on those things, and you can get in some. It was a lot of fun, and I'm glad that they're doing that, and more people are going to be able to get into it because that's a fun realm of the sport for sure.
Well, I think it's interesting too because you can get in places that a bass boat couldn't get,
Uh-huh.
like in the backwaters and, over
Mhm.
down trees and getting real shallow.
Yeah,
That
we've got the Chattahoochee River here. That there's a couple. I mean, there's big lakes on it, but there's a good stretch of river in between, like West Point Lake and Eufaula, where it's pretty much a bunch of little wing dams and stuff, and
Mhm.
they've got the shoal bass in them, which are you can't even catch shoal bass in a bass boat. Like you have to be in a either a flat bottom tin boat or in a kayak, and we get to go out there. We would usually go out there when it was real hot in the summertime and go catch the shoal bass because you can kind of wade around and then pull the kayak over the shoals and catch them. That's a ton of fun too.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. I hope they televise some of it. That'd be pretty cool too, just to kind of
Mhm.
see what will happen there. So transitioning back a little bit to where we started, what does it look like now that you're out of college? What are you doing? What's your plans for the future?
Yeah, I'm this year. I'm kind of taking this. I wouldn't say a step back, but I'm not traveling on a national tour this year. I'm going to fish a couple Toyota series here locally in Alabama on the Tennessee River in Gunnersville, and then I'm gonna do the one on Gunnersville, and then I'm fishing BFLs and just local trails here this year to try to save a little money before I think in next year I'm going to fish Bassmaster Opens, at least a division of it. So this year I was just kind of I work at a marine dealership, State Line Marine, and we sell Phoenix bass boats. So I help them out, work over there. They help me out. And I do a little bit of guiding here on Lake Martin as well. Lake Martin, Coosa River a little bit, and Lake Eufaula a little bit, but primarily Lake Martin is where I did my guiding. So I'm still fishing. I'm not as I wish I was fishing the opens this year, but I had to kind of make the decision to try to get some more experience and some more um, stability underneath my belt before I went and tried to take those on because that's a big commitment.
No, I understand. I get it.
Yeah,
It changes when you have a family too. I learned that the
yeah.
hard way.
I don't have that yet, but
No, but priorities kind of change, and
uh
you need to get stability under you before you can jump into something financially that's a big jump. But
yeah,
I
it's a big
totally
jump.
understand.
It's a big jump, especially it was nice at school because we had pretty much everything paid for, and then you go to it, and then you gotta pay for it all yourself. It makes it but I've got a bunch of guys that are on the team that are doing it, and I'm kinda living through them this year and watching them do it, and I think it's gonna help me out next year because 'cause I'll be I'll be ready to I'll be itching to get back on it because I love fishing here in Alabama, but there's something about going to a place you've never been before and trying to figure it out on the water, and I just love it so much, so I'm ready to get back after that.
Yeah, and that's what it comes down to. Fishing itself is the passion to do it, and
Uh
the passion to get that next bite. I think that's what keeps driving us all to keep fishing.
Yeah, and
Um,
here in Alabama, it's a good place to do it because there's so many people that have that same passion and share it, and they're really good. So even if you're not fishing in opens, there's guys that are local legends here in Alabama that could be doing it. They're in the same kind of situation where they're just not. That a lot of people could be pros that just don't do it because they have good jobs and families and stuff, and they know that they probably can make more money fishing at home anyways than on a tour. And so you're fishing against good people. You can get better here just staying at home too.
I'm just thinking of all the legends you have around there. You have the Hows there.
Uh-huh.
Um, you have, I mean, obviously Jordan Lee's not too far down the road.
Yep.
Um, I'm thinking of like Mark Daniels Jr.'s
Yeah.
there,
He's right next to us here.
and then not to mention Dustin Connell
Yeah.
in
Well,
your
you
back door.
yeah you see them on the water all the time. Yeah, I mean it's crazy. You'll fish like a 30 boat tournament, and 10 of them will be on the elites or the or the VPT. It's crazy, but it's fun,
Yeah,
and they're
and
not
that's
scared. They're
just
not scared of them down here too, because they'll beat them. A lot of the local guys. There's not very many. Some places you hear about. Um, some places you hear about pros not being allowed in the local tournaments. I haven't seen that down here because they show up.
yeah. I mean, the biggest pro we have around us would probably be like John Cruz.
Hmm. Yeah, he's a legend.
I've took his money a few times. I'll be honest and
It's
say
always
it.
it's always fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's fun. But yeah, I just y'all that's the part of the country I want to be in. Y'all have
yeah,
everybody down there. But let's talk about you writing for the Basscast. I don't know if
yeah.
many people know that, but we're gonna shout out the Basscast right now. But how's that experience been for you?
Oh, it's been cool. Brian posted something on LinkedIn right when I graduated. It was just like hey, we're looking for a writer interviewer, and I messaged him, and I didn't have any publishing experience, and he let me. Uh, I'm just writing, just doing the newsletter, the online newsletter, and yourself and Bruce. So we write on there, and it's cool because I can kind of every 2 weeks I kind of take a step back and think of what I've been doing and like what I wish I've been doing and kind of write something down and kind of have a brief rundown of what I think the next 2 weeks are going to look back. And I like looking back on it and seeing like what I thought was going to be a big player for the rest of the month,
Yeah,
what actually happened. Um,
yeah, and that's kind of what I do as well. Is I'll sit there and think. I'm like, I don't know what to write about. That's why I'm always like, hey, what are you guys doing?
yeah, that's
Like,
it. I like bouncing around, and y'all are all from Virginia, and I'm down here, so you guys are kind of got your own little tournament scene and stuff that you guys do in different lakes, and I need to get up there and go fish with y'all one day, but, uh
well, what's good about you is you have a different perspective in the different
uh-huh,
region. So,
yeah,
our viewers are getting a different wide region, and with my section, I try to do like north and above us. So
uh-huh,
or I do south too, but most likely, you bring a definitely a different dynamic to it because you're down south. What works down there definitely doesn't work up here, or
yeah,
it
it's
could.
yeah, it's cool, and I don't do as much of I do some of the tips and trick stuff, but then, Brian's got me doing a lot of the opinionated stuff, so it's kinda and there's been during the off season, it's kinda been like a more about fishing, but as tournaments roll up, I'm sure there's gonna be all sorts of stuff to be able to ride on, keep up with.
Yeah, I've definitely enjoyed it. Brian's a great dude. Bruce is a great dude.
Mhm.
They definitely keep me going.
Yeah,
I
they're
love
fun.
doing this podcast. Brian reached out to me. He was like, "You want to take this podcast over?" I was like, "Cool, yeah, sure,
Yeah,
why not?" Never done it before. I have no journalism, no, you know, qualifications in it, but I'll do it, sure. But yeah, I love working with the Basscast. Shout out Brian for
yeah, it's cool.
letting
You
us
could
do
tell
this.
you could tell too in the group message that Brian's got all the expertise on it. When he sends all the analytics and stuff, everyone's like, "Is this good? Is this bad?" And he's like, "No, this is good. We're killing it. We're a good deal."
Yeah, yeah, but no, I just Basscast is a great website.
Mhm. They got everything on there. You go on there, you can spend spend days on that thing looking at everything.
He he does a great job keeping it up. He's a one man show, but he does it all. Um, but no, I appreciate what he does. So as we move into our final segment, what who are some people that you'd like to shout out? Where can we find you? or where can our viewers and listeners find you to follow
Yeah,
you?
I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Carson Maddux. I think Instagram is CJ Maddux 17. Find me on there. Check out the Basscast. Check out the newsletter. Subscribe to that because um, I'll be writing on there for the foreseeable future. And then I'm also, um, if you're in Alabama and you want to go bass fishing, hit me up. We can go. We can find a day and we can go somewhere. There's plenty of lakes around here, so we can find one to go fishing at.
And one more thing, since I have, and we're talking about college fishing tonight, if you had one piece of advice for a high school angler on a high school team that's trying to go fish in college, what would it be?
I would say just make sure you get and I hated this answer in high school, and you're gonna hate hearing it now, but make sure your grades are good because you want to be able to have options whenever you are graduating. You want to be able to go and hopefully get scholarships and be able to go different places. And because I can't tell you how many times we had guys that really wanted to go to Auburn and other schools too say the same thing. Wanted to go, but their grades weren't sufficient, so they went somewhere else and ended up not liking it. So make sure you get your grades up and you just fish as much as you can. Everyone likes to see someone that's fishing a lot, and not just fishing high school tournaments too. If you're like fishing BFLs or team tournaments and stuff like that, where you don't have a boat captain, it makes you look like you know what you're doing because you never really know in high school if you got some stud dad that's taking and putting you on the fish, or if you're the high schooler is legit too. So that's what I'd say. Just keep your grades up and go fishing as much as you can, and you'll find a good place to go to school, no doubt.
Well, Carson, I appreciate you coming on again. We would definitely have you on again, most definitely. I want to try to do it probably near the end of the college season, just to see if our, you know, how everything ended up. But if you guys don't already, follow Carson, follow the Auburn Bass team. They'll show you some stuff. Um, and guys, that's the end of this episode for Before the First Cast. Like and subscribe, and we will see you guys on the next one.
Perfect. Thanks, Calvin. See you guys.